Okay, I'm back. So I said I was probably not going to show how to do the strings and stuff for GUIs, but I was getting it all loaded up and I was like, might as well record it. So in order to do strings on a GUI, you need this method here. So I've put it in both of the classes already and I went ahead and loaded it up. And let me make sure I'm in debug mode right now. I am indeed in debug mode. Cool. So because we're in debug mode, I can change the code while we're working. This allows me to load it up, and I could continue to working while the video was recording. But in this case, I went ahead and loaded it up, so we're off on it, and I can then show you guys how it works. So let me go back to Minecraft when it eventually figures out what it's doing. It's a thinking. It's doing something. The gears are turning, but smoke is coming out. Okay, so if we open the GUIs, still nothing in here. What we can do is in this render method here, is we can just start to draw strings. Now I've got helper methods for this, so it's a lot easier for me. But I can do draw centered, or actually we want to just draw a string here. So this will be crafting table. Of course we would translate this is actually what we would do. But we'll go ahead and do this, 0, 0. And we'll throw that up there and we'll get some kind of string rendered on here. Yeah, we got it right there. It's going to render from the 0, 0 corner of the GUI, which is that little corner there. So if we want to actually move it, we'll have to sit here and move it around. So this is our X and this is our Y. So let's first get our Y value set up. And let's go ahead and split this real quick so we can see what we're doing as we're working without alt-tabbing. So that was too many pixels. So we're going to hit 5. Go up a little bit more. We'll do 4. Now the problem is I may have not given myself enough space above the crafting table to quite do this. You know what, that'll work. So then we want to move over, let's say 20 pixels. That looks pretty good. So if you actually open up the Minecraft crafting table. Okay, so we want to align with our starting point here. Rather than doing that, let's move the container itself because I got to put an arrow here later anyways. So I want to, plus I want to line it up here, so we'll open up our container and adjust that. So our container for our crafting row, because this is our crafting grid here, let me document it real quick. Crafting grid, this is our output slot, secondary inventory, this is player inventory. Player inventory is prefetted out to a helper method. And then it's our crafting grid too. So when we open it up, it opens our crafting grid. But here's where we want to change it. And so we got column times row. Let me go over to the Minecraft one and see if the Minecraft one's aligned. The Minecraft one isn't aligned either, which is probably intentional. But because we added extra slots, we need to actually move our container around. So I want to say we just need a minus by 8. Wait, that's our ID. Right here's where we actually are at. So this is 22. We'll set it there quick. Now, because we changed the container slots, it isn't actually going to re-render the GUI. We actually have to reopen the GUI completely to get that change. If we actually move it over by another 2 pixels, we will line up with our text, and it won't look too bad. So go ahead and reload that. And I'm hitting Alt-R to reload. That's actually not the hotkey for reload. I don't know what it is. You guys can Google it, whatever the default is, but I've set it to Alt-R because it's a quick hotkey to hit. But there we go. We got that, and then that'll give us enough room to hit the arrow key here. I do need to change my slot render. So if we actually go to right here, the problem is there's not an easy way to do this because I don't think I have render code for rendering these really large slots. Because here's our draw slot code. And then we've got special handling for different types of slots. Let's see if we have a crafting slot. So we got a none, battery, liquid, fuel, up, down, arrow, left, right, square bend, and circle bend. So none of this will help us. So it's a possibility that we're going to have to make our own code for that. And I won't do that in this video because it will take me a bit longer than we have time for. But we'll just say we're going to put an arrow there, and that'll work out pretty well. So let's get the next string. So we've got this one, and that's our crafting grid table there. And then we want to do, we're just going to do another one for inventory because I don't have enough space between the secondary inventory and the one below it to put 2 lines saying one's player, one's other thing. So I'll do inventory, and then we want to drop this down on the Y level by about 100 will give us really close. Now when you're doing the GUI render code, you can reload all you want and it'll keep this running. And then you can just sit here and change it and hit reload because every single tick this is rendering. There's no easy way around that. There are ways you could catch it so it's not re-rendering, but that's not something you really want to do. And of course we want to change this so that this is aligned differently. Let me open what this looks like. Okay. So of course the spacing on this is a lot different than what the Minecraft GUI is going to be like. Okay, we need to move over one more. And this isn't going to be perfect, so no matter what we do, because if you go to do translations for this, if we put a German language in here, it's not going to look the same. So if we got right here, which is crafting, looks really nice, inventory looks really nice, they've clearly constructed their GUIs to fit the English language well. But if you actually opened it up for, say, some other language and you reloaded this, it wouldn't look as good, because then your crafting table, if this was in German, the German one will probably go to the edge over here because German German words are normally larger than English words. Example is like ambulance, which is something wagon. I forget what it is, but just adding that word wagon to the end of it makes it longer. To do translations for these, we would do language utility dot get local, and this would be tile dot, let's see what the crafting table name is real quick. So we got block crafting table, and yeah, it's just called crafting table. Cool. So we need to copy this whole string right here, because that'll get us our localized name. And if we go back over here, we just do this. And we'll go GUI inventory. And then we'll go GUI grid. And of course I missed this part. And this will translate, of course, we're not going to get back the translation right now. So if I hit reload, we're going to get a really long string. This is the part where I was talking about if you do like translations and stuff, and you see how long a string is just by me putting this in. And that isn't inherently long, but because it's going to just flow off. Now on some of my mods, I have workarounds for this, and I kind of want to implement them on all my mods, but I'm probably not going to get to that point. The workaround is that I use a translation key to store an integer, which then tells me the position of this, position of that. I even do positions for some of the components too. Buttons, for example, I let people change the size of them in a few of my mods, but that's for you as an individual to figure out if you want to do that or not. This is another reason why I want to transition to JSON GUIs, because with a JSON GUI, a translator could rebuild the GUI. He could do that as part of a resource pack and say, hey, this is a resource pack for, say, the Arabic language, so that you have a GUI that fits their, I want to say right to left is what their language is, because we read from left to right, their language is right to left. Their language also has a lot of weird nuances with it, like if you put 2 letters next to each other in the Arabic language, it turns into 1 letter, depending on the combination. That's some of the hurdles with translation keys. And it looks like we need to actually move this up by 1 more here. The spacing is just not good enough on this. That'll work. It is a little too close to the white, so you're going to get it's not going to look very nice, but it's good enough because we're just flat out of space on this GUI. Because if I start moving some of the stuff closer to each other, the player is going to get confused of what's the difference between each of these rows. With that nice little space between them, you know this is your hotbar, you know this is your inventory, you know this is your secondary inventory for the machine. If I actually even put a black line down the middle here, you would definitely know that these are separated from each other, which I might do on my other mods, but I'm not going to do with this one because I don't have time to be editing GUIs all day. We'll go ahead and we're going to do the same exact thing on the campfire. We're just going to copy this real quick, so that way when we go over here, we start with the translated keys. And in this one, we want to change it to the campfire thing. So we're going to close this one, close that, and then we want to go open up the campfire and go grab its localization. So this is called fire pit in the, oh no, it's called campfire in the block name. It's called fire pit for the texture name. It's a little confusing. My artist thought I was making something called a fire pit because, yeah, it is a fire pit. It's what it actually is. But it's called a campfire in the game because it's meant to be a campfire. Although, actually, a fire pit would be something different because a fire pit would be something you've dug into the ground and then you put a fire in it, because that's where you get the word pit from, is that it's a pit that then you put a fire in it, but it's a campfire because it's above ground. So we'll go ahead and do this, and then we'll come over here and we'll open this up. And we'll hit reload, and we should see both of those show up, although they are going to both need move. Now, if we look at the furnace, it looks like Minecraft is drawing a centered string for the furnace, so we're going to switch to a draw centered. And by the way, when we look at this render code here, so I'll go trace it all through and I'll show you how it works. So in order to draw a centered string, we just literally take the string width, we divide it by 2, and we minus our x. So that way we're rendering, the actual position is half of the length of our text to the left of where we want to render. And to draw a string, you just call font render, draw string, the string you want to draw, the x position, y position, and the color of the string. You can actually sit here and change the color. It is an integer. If you want to use a color object, you just call color.toRGB. Which if I scroll somewhere, I have prefab code for that. Yeah, right here. Actually, I call colors getInt, which if we go here, we'll actually do the math by hand because I decided I wanted to do that. But you don't have to do that. So we'll close this real quick. And we want to draw a centered string, which means our math is going to be different, and the inventory is on the side. So we just got to change the y value for our bottom string. We're going to do that first. So we're going to go like here, and that'll go up a little higher. Okay, so that's perfect for the inventory draw string. If we saw here, it moved over by a dramatic amount. So we just want to do something like 50, and 50 will get us close. Looks like we're going to have to, let's do 100. You know what? Let me go get my GUI size. We actually don't set the GUI size in here, so what is the default? There is a default size for your GUIs. Here we go, X size is 176. So if you go 176 divided by 2, then 88 is what we want. So we go right here, put in 88. There we go, we got a centered string. So you see it's perfectly, both sides are about the same. It's not going to be dead on perfect because of how the game runs. If you get an odd number, it's going to be slightly off on one side versus the other. Most people won't notice. So the only thing I got left to do in here is do the fire here and the arrow. I might be able to do those. I just got to remember if I had some prefabs for it. If I have prefabs for it, it's really, really quick to do because all I have to do is just go draw background here. But I don't remember if we have any. We're going to check real quick. So Volt's engine should have a texture sheet that has the arrow in it. I mean, should have. Most likely it might have got deleted a while ago. Every so often we go through and we clean up our assets. So here's our GUIs. Here's our components. Actually, that's a component sheet. Okay, yeah, we got arrows right there. So those are our arrows right there. We do not have the fire, so I can add the fire here later. But we have the arrow. We just gotta render it. Now I want to see if I got a prefab for this. Render. We got render universal text. Let's try draw instead. So we got a lot of draw methods. Most of these don't actually work because they're from 164. But we might get lucky. Oh, we can draw an icon right there. That's the beauty of we got a lot of options here. So we're gonna draw a textured model rec. That's what we're gonna do. This is actually from the GUI class itself. This is X, Y, UV with height. So this is going to take me a few tries to get right because I don't know the perfect values for it. But we need to draw 2 render rectangles. We also need to bind our texture. So where is our draw slot? So here's our draw slot. Our draw slot's going to bind a texture at some point here. So let's go down here, follow this. Right here's what we want. So we want the shared assets GUI components. Technically it's already bound, but we're going to bind it again just to be safe. This one, we do not actually want to draw at 0, 0 on this one. So we're going to go back to the slot code here real quick. As you see right here, this does a container width and height. So it's weird because if you draw a foreground layer, all the foreground layer stuff is auto pre-positioned for you. So that way when we draw the string, and if I sit here and I resize the screen, my strings will be in the same spot no matter what. But with drawing your background layer, that's not the case. You actually have to tell it where you want to render. In this case, you have to go X and Y. We're going to actually do a int value here, X equals 0, and int X or Y equals 0, because both of the fire we want to, and the arrow we want to render the background and the foreground at the same layer or something like that, or same position. So we got our X, Y here. It then wants the U and the V. So the U and V are the size of our textures, or another, they're the position of our texture. So we're going to have to go edit our string value here, or I mean edit our page. I still need more coffee. I've like drinking like 3 or 4 cups today, and even my brain still won't catch up with me. It's going to be one of those days. So source, main, resources, assets, Volts engine, textures, GUI, and we want to look at this class. So what we are looking for is what this position is right here, I think. So that's a 35 by 33. And then we want to figure out what our size is. So we're going to grab this real quick. We're 40 by 33. Okay, I'm actually going to reopen this back up and see, I don't save. And I'm going to reopen this file. I need to see where that other arrow is real quick. And unfortunately, because I'm opening up in Paint, I lost my alpha transparency and the arrow is pure white. Okay, so yeah, it's a perfect depth-wise down from it, so cool, we don't have to redo that. So we're going to do this, and we're just going to reload. Yeah, we're still in the campfire. We are off by a decent amount, and I know exactly why we're off by a decent amount. So what we're seeing is this over here. Why are we seeing, oh no, we're even off further than that, I think. Yeah, we're down here somewhere. I got it divided by 2. This texture is twice the size it needs to be, so shoot. Let me get some tools out here real quick. Okay, so how big are you? Actually, you should be a 16 by 16, or you're 36 by 36. So 36 divided by 2. So 36 divided by 2 is 18. So we're 18 over. So we're going to go switch this to 18. And we're going to reload, and that'll get us closer. Yeah, okay, we're closer. And we got to do the Y. So the Y value, if we go ahead and figure this out. So we're going to give me my dimensions. So actually, you know what? I think the Y value is 0. Give me like a second to test this there. So that'll be the Y value right there. Aha, we're getting closer. Now we just got to get our width and height correctly. So you can see both arrows now. And now we just got to get positioning proper. That arrow looks a bit small. Let me open the campfire. Oh, they're the same size. I mean, meant to say I opened the furnace, but yeah. lacking on the Z's today, so therefore, yeah, coffee. So let's do this again. Actually, will it tell me? Oh, it'll tell me automatically what our pixel depth is. So we're, yeah, wow, I got a measuring tool built right into this thing. That's actually pretty cool. But we're 80 by 36. No, actually that's where my cursor is. So we're 44 by 36. That's 22 by 18. Actually, did I copy the right? Oh, I messed up here. That's 22 by 15. Yeah, 22 by 15. That's right. Alt-R to reload. Perfect. Yeah, looks perfect. So now we just got to get the position data right. Probably could just do this real quick. Oh, that is so close. So what is our container width? We did it on one of these other GUIs real quick. Shoot, I wasn't paying attention. Oh yeah, so it's 74. So 74 is our middle point. So we're gonna do that real quick. That should give us the same value. Cool. So now we just move by 10, and that'll give us a pretty good X value here. Yeah, that's good. So then our Y value, we want to move down by, I want to say 40 would be a good start. Oh, so close. 35 would be a little closer. So this part of doing GUIs is you got to guess. The reason why I don't like making GUIs is that it's a lot of guesswork, and for the longest time I didn't have debug mode when I was working on GUIs here like last year, because I was having difficulties with, I believe it was IntelliJ was having problems with debug mode for some reason, wouldn't work. And so doing GUI work meant I had to reload every time, and if you've seen from my other videos, reloading my project workspace takes like 5 minutes. So you imagine 5 minutes, then I go, oh, that's the wrong value. Then you go another 5 minutes, it's like, oh, that's the wrong value. And then it would take me all day to do one GUI. Oh, that was more of an accomplishment back then, but yeah. So anyways, do the next, to do the next part, we just got to shift our UVs down. So we are 22 blocks tall, so we just shift down by 2. And if we get this math right, we should see a white arrow pop up over. And I didn't get the math right. I got half the value somehow there. I got something wrong. Oh yeah, I see what's wrong. Cool, so we got that. In order to figure out how to get our bar to render, by the way, we need to go float percentage, or we're just gonna call it P. And then we want to go, we're not storing the campfire, are we? Shoot. I'm gonna have to reload the game. So, unless we're storing in the container, are we storing the container? Ah, we're not storing the container. I was hoping we'd store this somewhere. So let's go to super real quick. Container base stored anywhere? Container base does store it as an inventory object. So we can actually get lucky real quick here. I'm gonna probably, actually I don't need to redo this. So we tile entity campfire. Campfire equals, so that's the slot. So we want to go container dot we're looking for something that's an instance of iInventory. So we go container super. It's protected. It's right there. It is. We're gonna have to reload. There's no easy way to do this. So I'm gonna close this real quick. I'm gonna actually hit save and quit. That way we don't lose our save data. So the way to get access to this, one, I just literally got to catch the value. So it'd be this dot fire equals fire. And then we'll rename this real quick to campfire. Cancel real quick, because apparently I accidentally hit enter. And then we'll do this. This will just be a private value. But the value for this, so we'll go ahead. Actually, I can't launch until I fix it. So campfire dot cook time divided by campfire dot. I need a max cook time value. So I was going to have to probably do this anyways. So it'd be yeah, we'll just call it cook timer. So we go that divided by campfire, or to be tile entity campfire dots. Because even though you can access from the variable that data file right there, why is that grayed out for? Oh, it's because we're using it here, but we're not using it there. So we'll go like that, and in order to make this work, by the way, you got to times one of these by a float, or it's not going to divide correctly. Because an integer divided by an integer is going to result in an integer as the return, but an integer divided by anything else will result in that something else. So in this case, we want a float. We're going to times by a float. This will make sure this is a float value. Alternatively, if you don't want to cast to a float, you can do this real quick, plus 0.0f. And that'll guarantee that this is a float when you go to divide it. And that'll give you a percentage value out. Because we want a percentage value, because then what we're going to do is, this is our width, so we're going to go times p. And then we're going to go math.ceiling. Or no, we're going to do math.floor, because if it isn't 15, we don't want to render 15. Because we might have a second or two left. And this has to be cast by an int real quick, because it won't, it turns into a double for some reason. But we got that, so we're going to go ahead and I guess run that. The other thing we need is a campfire sprite. I could make the campfire sprite real quick. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to open this up. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to place it right underneath this. But in order to do that, we're going to need to go to my dev folder, access my magical asset folder. I store assets in here, by the way, that I want to reuse. So I've got some textures here, which I don't remember what I used this for. I think I was trying to make sure something was working. Then I've got different icons that I was using for different things. I've got Java in here because I'm adding Java support to one of my mods, and I want to make sure my textures match his textures. But I got Minecraft in here for the particular reason that I want to go in here and grab things. Like there's fonts and stuff. So in this case, we want the GUIs. So textures, GUIs. So Minecraft doesn't have, like, you know, I have like a thing like this. So you've seen my thing. It's pretty much that is what it is. It's one of these style of texture sheets where you've got a whole bunch of icons on here that you use. Minecraft's got a variety of everything. I think this is actually the one we based ours on. Yeah, we got something similar to that. Not quite. There's your demo background. Here's all your title screens, the backgrounds for the title screens. So here's your achievements. The containers, what we're looking for though. So each one of the containers in Minecraft has a pre-built GUI, and then they render the GUI. It's faster to do it this way. So if you actually have the time and patience, always try to make your GUIs work like this, where you have everything on the GUI. If you render like I do, where you render the slot every single time, you're actually going to drop frame rate. The only reason I do it is because your frame rate in a GUI doesn't really matter much. Your frame rate can go to 0 in a GUI and you'll still be able to use a GUI without a problem. However, anywhere else, say like in the world, if your frame rate got that low, you would actually not be able to play. But if you can, make sure you do your GUIs this way because it actually is an improvement. So we want to do the furnace is what we're looking for. So the furnace has two parts. We have this little thing right here. So we're going to copy this. This is our blank. As you notice when we do our GUIs, we have the blank and then the other thing. So we're going to do the same thing here. I did not want to do that. And of course, Control-Z won't let me properly unzoom out of that. So we're going to go back up here. I need to make a new layer. So I need a new layer, and we're going to call it fire. Of course, it. Okay, cool. So we're going to do this. We're going to select this layer. We want to put this in here. We need to resize this. You know what we're actually going to do before we bring it in here? I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go over here. And we're going to copy this up over here. We're then going to crop this down. We're going to go File, Save As. I'm going to go all the way back up to my dev workspace here, Assets. And we're going to call this fire_GUI. And we're going to save this by itself. And then we're going to resize it. We're going to double the size because we have to resize it for the GUI we're in. Then we're going to go Control-A, Control-C, Control-V. And then we've got both pieces in here. So I can't do what I was thinking about doing and putting these both next to each other unless I want to put them somewhere completely else. If we zoom out, I can look around. Nah, we'll put them below each other. A little bit of waste of space, but it's kind of better here. Okay. So we'll go up here, and we can just leave that like that real quick, because we're using a layer system, so if I remove the layer, it doesn't cause me any problems. This is the advantage of making sure that you actually are using
left your channel.
A system like this. So we put that there. We want to get rid of that piece that's hanging up out of there. Then we want to do collar select, delete, and we have our system here. Try to get select here. Okay, and we want to hit File, Save, so we save our progress. We can move this up, so we save a little bit more space. So we want to Control X, Control V, and then we want to move it up right below here, and we can just put it like that. We'll leave a pixel gap in here because it doesn't matter as much. I'm trying to decide if I want to space it here. I need something behind here that isn't this gray obnoxious background. So we're gonna do Control Z here, and we're gonna move this. I want to center this so I can recycle this render here as a GUI slot. Okay, hold on. I need to check something here. Oh. I don't think I noticed this before, but the outline for the fire is not perfectly lined up with the thing above it, and I wonder if that's intentional. So we're going to hit Control Z on this real quick. It's really hard to tell if these two are meant to line up with each other perfectly. I have a feeling they're not. Because you can see the gray outline here, and that gray outline is about the same as this right here. So I don't think they actually were meant to line with each other. So what do we do? Don't save on that. So this looks good. Because we did this, by the way, we're going to have to change our render code. But the cool thing is, if this is centered properly, we know these are 18 by 18s. So see, 36 by 36 is what these should be if I highlight them. Yeah, 36 by 13. So we know they're 18, so that's 0, 1, 2. So we can actually render these as slot icons. So we want to hit File, Save, then we want to hit File, Export As, and we export as components, so that way we have it. If you don't export from this file format, you're not going to be able to use it unless you have special code that can load these file formats, which I don't recommend doing because I think these rammed up when they actually do it, so the files are huge. We're going to close this because we don't need this anymore. So for our render code, when we go to render the fire, we're just going to add a slot ID real quick. So for the slot render system, if I can remember where it's at, so we're actually going to go here real quick. And when we go to draw a slot, because when you go to draw a slot, you actually do not need a slot to draw a slot. The code will let you do whatever you want. All we have to do is go in here, and we have to add new entries. So, wow, this is supposed to be ended here. So we want to do furnace fire, and then furnace fire outline. Because then we can, if I make a mod that needs to have, say, a furnace fire in the background, say we want to say like this is a trash can slot, anything in here will incinerate the item, or we want to put a background behind on a slot saying, hey, this is fuel, only put fuel items in this slot. We can do that now because we have those two set up as slot things. Like we have many other things like here. We have none, which is a normal slot render. We've got battery, which is a volt thing, liquid, fuel. We actually do have a fuel slot already. Actually, what is that? Fuel. Ah, fuel right there. So that's our liquid. There's our fuel. We have arrows, which are used by MFFS mainly. That's what they're designed for. These are used actually in ICBM to tell you can't stick stuff in certain slots. We got all of our buttons on here too. So this sheet's actually used for everything. I actually might migrate the buttons off of this list maybe one day, but I'm not going to do that right now. There's no point. So we're going to fix this real quick. But that we have that, so if we go to render this, how we do it is we just call draw slot, and then we want this version right here. So we want to do, we're going to start with an X and a Y position here. Of course, we're just going to +0 on these. And then we want GUI slot type. And then we want to get our furnace fire outline. So that's the first thing we're going to render. And then right after it, we're going to render our fire. We're actually going to comment this out though, real quick, because we don't want to precisely be working with that. These two should work though. So if we hit run and we hit debug Minecraft client, we just gotta wait for the game to load. Which I'll break the recording here and then we'll reset it. Okay, we're back here. So Minecraft is launched up, so we're gonna go ahead and test to see if our stuff actually is working here. At least it should work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Oh, wait, I think I done goofed. We're going to have to see what happened here in a second, because I just realized when doing this, you notice there's no data here? There's nothing. It's slot IDs. We're going to open this up, and there's not going to be anything rendering in here, most likely. Yeah, so there's nothing there. Shoot, I don't remember how to do these. So we're going to have to experiment with my code and figure out how this works. Yeah. Okay, so one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we're rather than restarting and showing you how this works, I'm going to just copy this real quick and bite the bullet on functionality here, because I completely neglected that we hit the bottom on this row here. All of the icons have to be below each other, but there's no icon down here, which means I haven't told it how to wrap back around again. This is why I said I need to separate out my texture sheets and stuff, because I got slots in here, I've got GUI components, I've got buttons. They're all on the same sheet, but they need to actually be in a different sheet with each other, and I'm going to actually probably work on that. I got to go help him here later. It's going to happen later, but we can fix this. So the way to fix it, close this one, close that. So I'll have to re-add that here later. So we just got to put this in here. So right now we get a 0 on this, 0 on that. Cool thing is I didn't actually need those one thing if I went to go draw that slot. So what we need on the code here, so we open this up. We are 1, 2, 3. So it's 2 for this one and 1 over. So it'd be 18 on the X, and it'd be times 2. And that should render the fire one. Yes, there's our fire icon. and then we want to just kind of do things. So we need to do int x again here. So we're going to copy these, put these up here, remove the int in front of these so that way we're reassigning on that, because it wouldn't let us compile otherwise. We'll leave those variables in there, but we're going to readjust them here in a second. So get rid of that. I'm going to kill that line of code, and we're just going to draw. So this needs to be a 3 to do the one below it. And then once again, in order to do the float percentage, we just got to do some calculations here. So we're going to go put this up here. We're going to move this up here because we are feeding off the same texture sheet for the moment, although I'm going to change that texture sheet here. Probably won't be right this minute, but it probably will be soonish. So we're going to move this up here so we can easily read what's going on too down here. And we're going to document this. So this is render arrow for crafting timer, and this will be render fire for fuel timer. So this is our timer here, and we want to change our y value. So we're going to times by p. So we want to copy this here, put this right here, change it to 18. I think gonna have to change this because I think it needs to be inverted. So it needs to be 18 minus 18 is what it actually needs to be, which means we're gonna have to do some math to figure it out. But yeah, we'll do this real quick. Actually, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to do plus x plus y. Reload this here real quick. And then I'm going to move here and here. And we're going to put this here. So yeah, it's in the right spot here. So we just got to change our x value. So our x value needs to shift over by, say, 40-ish. That's too much. I knew it was probably going to be too much when I went to go type it in as well. Because I was like, it probably needs to be 10. And this one needs to go up just a little bit, so 7. Oh, actually it's inverted to that. Down a couple more. That looks about right, so if we open this up, it needs to go down one more to match that style. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to match the GUI rendering style of this, but at the same time we're not trying to copy code from here. Yeah, that all looks good. One thing I need to do is fix the output slot, which I need to do for the other thing as well, which I'll probably do off screen here later. But this will work. In order to test the fire, we're going to have to cook something in here. Or actually, you know what we can do? We're just going to do p equals 0.5. Oh, I got to put an F at the end of that or it's going to error. So we're going to manually test this. Yeah, that's what I thought I was going to mess up on. So one, I put in the wrong spot to start with. So we're going to move this, we're going to copy that, and then put it here. Yeah, so this is what I was worried about. It's going to render from the top down. So we need to invert the percentage, and we need to actually do it this way. That should, in theory... Why didn't that do anything? Oh, because our height's still going to be 9. So we're going to do this, and we're going to minus, I think. I've done some really weird render code this way, by the way. There was a guy I was working for a while back that I did a really complicated piece of render code for to do a lightning bolt shaped health bar in the top right hand corner. I might show this off one of these times, but not only did I have to render it from the bottom to the top like I'm doing here, I also then had to change the X and the Y position because it rendered diagonally, which was a nightmare. So we're still not doing it quite right here. Okay, so I believe our height's correct. We need to change our UV. So this is our Y position, and it's U, then V. So that's X, and then that's V. So we're going to go like here, and then put it this way. I actually feel like I want to probably go look at Minecraft code here in a second. Yeah, I think I messed. No, that should be the Y. We're seeing some kind of white corner, so that's the bottom of the white arrow. Yeah, let's go look at how Minecraft does it real quick. That way I don't sit here and guess all day, because the reality of it is it's not really worth guessing all day. We could do this really quick. It'd be furnace, or be GUI furnace. Right here is our scale factor here. Draw rectangle. Wow, they got some values here. So is burning. Get time scaled. Draw rectangle. And then they got KL, so those are static, minus IL, which is so they're minusing off of their Y position. Then they're minusing off their V, and then they're using it over here. So I am correct. It's just I need to do something like this real quick. So they're, did it say minusing off the first one? So we're gonna cache this value, because I realize we're recalculating it 3 times. So we're gonna do like this. Offset Y is what we're gonna call this. Probably would have figured this out eventually, but I didn't want to sit here doing this all day on camera. Now though we're only, wow, it's only been, oh wait, no, it's only 9 minutes on this side of the recording. I was like, it's only been 9 minutes. It's like, no, it's been longer than that, because I forgot there's 2 halves of this recording that are going to become one. So we'll do this real quick, remove this, or reformat that, and then remove this. And then reload, and we'll check out what we got. That just made things worse. So what is I? I is getting burning scaled 13. Let's get burning scaled. So furnace time times, I'm guessing the pixel height. So, which we're already doing, so we're going 18 times P. So maybe instead of doing it that way, we want to recalculate it here. So we'll do what they're doing real quick. And then we're going to times by our value, which is 18, because of course there's a 13 though, which is a little weird. That they have a different height on theirs. Oh, that's right, because we're rendering a full tile. That's the reason why our height's different. So this is going to be math.floor, because we want to turn this into an integer. And then, okay, we got that. We can actually toss this down here now. Or actually, we just do this, because we don't need the float percentage anymore. We need to actually ninja the campfire thing to be 100 though, so we can make sure we're testing properly. Why did that completely mess up our thing over here? Somehow we managed to mess up our stuff down here, which I'm trying to figure out how we did that. Because now our campfire is rendering in the wrong direction. Yeah, this code should be fine. Oh, it's because we changed the wrong timer. So we timer dot fuel timer, because we were doing the wrong math here. Yeah, that's why we're all of our stuff's not working. We're using the wrong values. So what is our fuel timer? So we want to go tile entity campfire. Well, we're just going to test it real quick. We don't really need to actually know what it is. Still not doing correct. Probably because of the way we're assuming everything's working. Let's try this. We're getting closer. It's rendering from the bottom now. Let's try removing this. Ooh, much closer. So we're going to do this. Aha! And if we turn this to a 200, we should get a full-size one. Oh. Nope. 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 That did not work. So we're just going to change this to... shoot, it's not going to work properly. Let's do it this way. So if we put it here, we render the right spot there. But then if we change this back to 100 and reload, it's going to break. Yeah, so we're in the wrong spot again. So that they're minusing their y there, and they're minusing their y there, but then they've plussed it by one less than the height. So we need to say plus by 17 and then minus by offset y. See if that'll work. That actually did work there, so we're going to do 100 here. It's working. So let's stop messing with the fuel timer here, and we're going to let it cycle on its own. And we're going to watch it to see if it works. The only problem is I'm not keeping track of the fuel time. We did not bother to keep track of that, did we? So we actually have our fuel timer. So we have how much burn time is on the system. We did not keep track of the actual fuel timer here, which means whatever we use is not going to work. We're going to have to reload this, and we're going to have to wait for it to reload. But you know, I'm just going to call it the end of the video. I'll show you guys how it works maybe in another video here. But we're at probably like 30 minutes of film time or something. I don't know exactly, but too long for that. So yeah.